What's up, everybody? It's the Sports Code, aka Aiden, and welcome back to another video. Today's video is going to be whether or not, in my opinion, Jim Boylen should be fired from the Chicago Bulls head coaching role this season. There's a lot to discuss. There's a lot of things that you can put into this decision. I think majority of people will already know the answer, at least in their minds, but I'm going to give my reasons for why in different areas. So if you enjoy this video, please hit a like. Don't forget to subscribe. Comment below if you believe or disagree. Let's have a conversation. And also turn notifications on for more videos, more daily videos, hopefully for many more to come. Let's get started. So the first thing I want to talk about Jim Boylen is, let's talk about his experience as a head coach. Now, this is his first permanent head coaching role, I believe. He's had assistant coaching roles everywhere. I think he's a pretty well-known assistant coach. And I believe he was an assistant coach with San Antonio. That might be misinformed by myself. If so, I apologize. But if that is true, that's a pretty great place to be an assistant head coach to Greg Popovich, the greatest coach of all time, greatest NBA coach of all time, in my opinion. Let me know what you guys think about that as well. And that's a great place to get your experience. However, I still think he loses in this category, mainly because as a head coach, he is inexperienced, and this is his first role. And I think in most cases, this is a make or break for a head coach when you're coaching a semi-bad team, or actually no, we're a pretty bad team. So you're coaching a bad team, and you're trying to make them better, and they're not getting better, actually getting worse. It looks like from the previous head coach. So in that circumstance, I think you need balance. You need either an experienced team and an inexperienced head coach, and that could possibly work, or vice versa, an experienced coach and with inexperienced players. And maybe that one can learn from the other, and maybe the others can learn from. It's a learning curve. So with our players, I can fault our players, but our players are so young and upcoming that I don't think it's worth saying that we need more experience when we still have an inexperienced head coach, because these players are growing together. And the coach, I don't think any coach at the moment could come and do a worse job than Jim Boylen, in my opinion, when it comes to experience, because that's just it. If you have an inexperienced coach with an inexperienced team, you're going to experience inconsistencies within the team. Team is not going to perform great every night. They're going to come out and fight. I think the Bulls are one of the toughest teams to play, but it doesn't result in wins. And it results in very inconsistent performances. But I believe that they're trying their asses off. I've seen a lot of Bulls games. They really try, but maybe inexperienced coaching and inexperienced team, inexperienced situations like ending games and finishing games off and all of that. Obviously, that's a problem for us, and we might need an experienced coach to come in and help us learn more than, because Jim Boylen's learning on the job as well. It's not an easy thing to do, to learn on the job and teach your players as well. It is a very hard thing to do, especially for your first time. So in that aspect, he probably gets an L for me. So experience, I definitely think he loses that category. Moving on to motivating the players. Now, in this category, I definitely think Jim Boylen thrives. I think Jim Boylen is a very emotional type coach. He definitely likes to motivate his players, say that his players work hard, they're tremendously fit, they run to the moon and back for him, and all of that. I think Jim Boylen definitely, in that aspect, is probably one of the best in the NBA to actually motivate players. But there's still been areas where many people believe that he can't actually motivate his players. For instance, Larry Marketing has had a pretty rough season, and a lot of people believe it's Jim Boylen's fault, and maybe that's why Jim Boylen can't seem to motivate him to be performing, or he's not making changes to help motivate a player. So there is also a negative to that positive, but I think in most scenarios, that I think Jim Boylen is a very emotional coach, and he motivates his players with his effort, his speeches, and all of that. I think he's a very emotional coach. So he said it at the very beginning when he was announced head coach. I want these players to really understand what it means to be a Chicago Bull. He said that. And that resonated with a lot of people at the time, and a lot of people were happy with that. And I still think to this day that's his goal, to make people understand how serious it is to be a Chicago Bull. And maybe the likes of benching Zach LaVine for a game was a way of him showing it. Like, if you're not going to take this seriously, then you shouldn't be playing here, and stuff like that. But overall, I just don't think that... I think he gets a win in this category, but it's not by... it's not definite. Like, there are arguments to that statement that I just made, and if you guys have any other argument with any other player, maybe Denzel Valentine could be a potential one, Kobe White, anything, just let me know. So yes, so when it comes to experience, he definitely loses, but when it comes to motivation, he gets a win, in my opinion. He's definitely a motivational coach, in my opinion. Now let's go to the actual performances. Now, I think it's safe to say that this has been a very bad season for the Chicago Bulls. Now, that's not saying that it will continue to be, because February, March, we still have a long way to go, and there's still chances to make the playoffs. I'm not going to rule it out. I don't think I'll rule it out for a long time. But the way that we've lost games and how many games we've lost, and especially to who we've lost against, I think it's embarrassing, to be honest. Like, we lost twice to the Warriors. We've lost to the Wizards today. We've lost to the Knicks and the Cavs. These are teams that, if we're trying to be the 8th seed, we should be beating comfortably. And I mean comfortably. I don't mean coming close. Of course, NBA games, they will come close here and there. But taking the win is all that matters. And in those situations, we have not taken wins. And that's not good enough. That's not good enough at all for the franchise that's supposed to be making strides forward, because we seem to be taking a lot of steps back. So definitely, when it comes to player performance, for Jim Boylen, he definitely gets a loss in that category, because I know you could argue the players are mainly at fault, but I'm sorry, especially in closing out games, there has been times where Jim Boylen has struggled, and you can't put all the fault on the players. The fault is when a loss happens, it's a team effort, So everybody's going to take blame. The teammates, the players are all going to take blame, but Jim Boylen takes some of that blame as well. So I can't sit here and say it's all the players' fault when it's not. And I think majority of the fans would know it's not all the players' fault. Yes, the players play a big part of it, but Jim Boylen plays a big part as well. Probably equal to what the players do. So 100%, I honestly believe that he gets an L in this category. And so far, it's looking like he should be fired. We can keep going. We'll go to his coaching style. So I want to go back to Fred Hoiberg to make this statement. So Fred Hoiberg, we played a Hoiberg ball, or whatever it was called. We're basically chucking up threes and playing no defense. I think this is not too far away from what Hoiberg does, except Hoiberg was an incredible offensive coach. When it comes to Hoiberg, offensively, we didn't have to worry. We were going to get our buckets. We were going to be an offensive threat. He made Larry Markkinen a monster. And Zach LaVine was being Zach LaVine. And of course, all the other players as well. Chris Dunn had very good offensive performances. Wendell Carter was shooting mid-ranges. He was shooting a lot more than what he has in this season. And our bench as well. Denzel Valentine, I think, had better games with Hoiberg than he has with Jim Boylen, etc., etc., etc. But, so that's Fred Hoiberg. With Jim Boylen, I feel like it's the opposite. Yes, we still chuck up a lot of threes, but I think defensively is where we're thriving under Jim Boylen. And offensively, we're struggling really badly. We're one of the worst offensive teams in the NBA. And that's a big, big step, because we all expected that we weren't going to be good defensively this season. I think we're probably going to be one of the worst. But to be bad on offense is a complete question mark in my eyes. How could we be so bad on offense compared to last season, compared to 2 seasons ago, and now we're pretty bad. And defensively, we're improved. Yes, I think Jim Boylen is a good defensive manager or coach, but offensively, I feel like he doesn't know what he's doing at all, and that might just be me, but I really think that. So yeah, that's a loss as well in that category. I think we might have been better off with Hoiberg if we were going to sign Jim Boylan. Just looking back on it, but changes had to be made then, and changes probably need to be made now. Its video's gone on for around 10 minutes, so I'll just give my overall answer now. So I've divided it into 4 categories, in which experience, which he loses in experience, motivation he gains in motivation, player performance, which he loses, and coaching, which he also loses. So overall, in those 4 categories, I think it's pretty clear. I personally believe Jim Boylan should be fired before the season's end. I think this season should be his last. But I can tell you now, I really don't believe that Jim Boylan's the one that's going to go. And that's going to be really interesting to see, because I think they're going to have to give this another chance. I think they're going to give this another chance. I think Jim Boylan's going to survive this season, and he's going to end up, maybe, if nothing changes, losing out next season. That's what I think is going to happen. I think there was years and years and years, or I won't say, like, there were years of rumors of Fred Hoiberg leaving, and it never happened until when it did, like a couple years later. So I feel like this is going to be a similar process. They're going to give it time, and they're going to realize that it probably was a mistake, and then they're going to fire him. And I think if they do that, and whenever they fire him, experienced managing is the way to go. Let's get some quality management, quality coaching, quality plays into this team. I think we'll thrive under that. I think we'll thrive under good management and good coaching, because I think the talent is there with this team. Talent with the Bulls, I don't think it's a question. We have a lot of talent on our team. We have a lot of young and upcoming talent. We have young players that are going to be superstars someday, and hopefully they will be for the Bulls. But with experienced coaching, they're going to get even more out of these players of what's already happened. Look at Kobe White. If Kobe White had a better coach, or he was just in a starting position with a more experienced coach, he could be thriving at the moment. Even Denzel Valentine could be doing better. Larry Markkinen could be back to the way he was. Obviously, these are all hypotheticals and we don't know. But with experience managing, I think there's a higher chance of them reaching better potential than what they are now. Anyway, that's all. This is the Sports Code. Take care and peace.